Safe. That's part of the reason I came. I have a 11-year-old boy, a 9-year-old boy, and a 6-year-old daughter. I've been in youth ministry 25 years and volunteer with the youth group at Buckner. I coordinated upward soccer there this year. We're hoping to reach more children who maybe can't afford to play in Lisa, want more playing time. I love the parks. I think we can do so much more with them. But I also want a town that does attract me. A town that makes people say, this is where I want to be. We've got a great resource here with the lake. We can attract businesses if we're allowed to be able to use waterfront property to maybe make a harbor to let people drive their boats up to use our businesses and shop. Wouldn't that be awesome? People would say, that's an awesome place. I want to live there. I would like to see a place that not only looks toward now, though, but looks for 50 years in the future. Know that the plans that we make today will affect even our children's children. Because now that we're in suburban area, most of the people will stay as they grow up. They'll find places near here to live. They won't be moving to the next town over because this is the next town over. And people will be looking for here. So I would like to enhance whatever we can do now to make that prosperous for the next 50 to 100 years.
Well, as I answer that question for me, what I want you to ask about yourselves is also what you want to see Little Elm become. Because really that's why we're here. As we start looking at Little Elm's growth, we need to make sure that your interests are also represented. Parks, education programs, making sure that the highways don't block us off from getting to our own homes as we start to grow and advance, making sure that the businesses that are here want to stay here. I want to see it to where people in Frisco and the folks outside of the area, as they come to the lake, want to come to Little Elm businesses because we have Class A services, because we have the things that they want, because we have the areas that they want to see, and that as they drive through North Texas, they want to make sure that they understand, hey, if I got to go somewhere, I'm going to turn left or I'm going to turn right at Little Elm, because they understand where it's at. They know where it's at. They understand that we're a town that's growing, that we're a town you want to be at. You know, we should have such a problem that folks who want to move here, you know, are biting to find a way to get here. That's what we want to have. You know, we want to make it to where we're a Class A type community. We're top of the notch, gold star, however you want to look at it. That's what I see Little Elm becoming. That's where I see us going, and that's where I believe we can take us. I truly do. I mean, we're already on that path. It's just making sure that we grow responsibly and that we answer to your needs and that we understand what you're looking for. That's what I want for you.
In addition to the responsibilities of being a town council person and all that goes with it, I would like to help institute a better sense of community in Little Elm. I think there's a lot of people that live in Little Elm that, when I think of community, I don't think of somebody saying I live in the community of Little Elm or I live in the community of Frisco. I think community is more a state of mind, a feel that people have, an enjoyment of their surroundings, an enjoyment of doing things with their neighbors and other people in town. I think we're lacking that. I don't know exactly how we would go about changing that, but if people have ideas, I would certainly be willing to listen and try to incorporate ideas to help get more of a sense of community, volunteerism in our community. And I think some of the other problems that we have, such as a low turnout for this function tonight. It's great that we have it on. We have something like this. We've got all these candidates and we don't have enough people out here. I think if we can start creating a sense of community and people working together, maybe some of the ills and the problems that we perceive in town would just take care of themselves.
Being this far down the line, I can almost say ditto. Definitely want to make sure that we're building a foundation here in Little Elm for our children because they are our next generation of leaders for our community. We also want to make sure we have Little Elm as a place that people call home. They want to come home to. We're going to attract, as we said, businesses, more higher, maybe some better education for our children, places for kids to go and do things to do after school. I know we have a lot of sports complexes that are out there that are just packed on the weekends. That's great. A lot of places for families to go during those particular sports are taking place. But we need to make sure we continue that and continue the family unit around the town of Little Elm. Thank you.
want Little Elm to be a destination location. I want more businesses in Little Elm. I want things that are, right now, what's being done in Little Elm is being done by the taxpayers. I want businesses brought in here that can bring our entertainment and relieve the burden on the taxpayers. I want Little Elm to grow and be very prosperous and get our taxes down and get the fees that we have to pay to live in Little Elm down and not be so expensive on the residents. And when the town grows and there's more things that bring people into Little Elm, I think we'll have more and more people moving here.
Both my wife and I work out of our house, and we're not geographically bound anywhere. So when we were going to move from the big town of Plano, we looked overseas, we looked at every state, Alaska, and we're looking at all these places, and we relocated 17.2 miles from front door to front door, moving here to Little Elm. My vision is that everybody gets to experience what I experienced. Our neighborhood started being built, I don't know, 5 years ago, but we live in the 1950s. I know every one of my neighbors. You know, Angela's expecting a baby 2 doors down. All right? Helen across the street, her husband Dick passed away last week. Everybody on the street provided food. Okay? At night, kids are running up and down the street. I grew up when the sunlight, when the street lights came on, that's when you had to get home. Anybody else here? Yeah, you know, otherwise mom gets out there and starts hollering, and you don't want that. It's safe, it's fun. We cook for our neighbors. Okay? They cook for us. It's just fun. It's that sense of community Bill was talking about. And how do we do that? I would like that all over the neighborhood, not just on my street. I want to see Little Elm represented all over the place. I don't want the nice part of Little Elm, or the part by the lake, Little Elm, or the one over here, this neighborhood. Equal representation. All right? If there's funds, if there's development to go on, everybody gets a piece of this pie, because it's our pie. Okay? There's food here for everybody. That's how the government should be running. That's how the city should look at it. Everybody, no matter where you live, should be benefiting from the city. And I want to make sure everybody is equally, you know, represented. Now, how do we promote that community? I know it's silly, folks, but it's 99 cents for a tube of cookies. Bake those cookies, and if you don't know your neighbor, just take them some cookies. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's just fun. And it's fun, you know, so that's how I would do it. Everybody bake cakes. You know, have a bake on it.
Brian, it is your turn to select your card. Okay, what are your strengths that you feel would qualify you to be on town council?
Quick question. I thought you were going to ask me my name again.
All right, what's your name?
Basically, the strengths I feel I bring to the table is definitely background as far as strategic planning and basically implementation. Right now, we have a situation in this city where, this town, where that basically we are growing. We are growing fast. We have grown as far as residential tremendously. And commercially, we're starting to catch up. And basically, what I feel is I can bring that forward thinking and that strategic planning to make sure that future ventures that the city gets involved in are right for the town of Little Elm, and basically still have the essence of Little Elm and create a foundation to where that everyone can enjoy it, and everyone can be a part of it, and everyone can feel safe, and definitely keep moving along and stay parallel with the growth of the city.
What I believe my strengths are is that I feel like I'm kind of a servant leader. I've been serving the church, but in my role, it's always been one where I need to lead. Finding out what's best with my students, my young people, their parents, their families, congregations, and trying to present something that will benefit all who are there. I'm currently on a design team for a national youth gathering where we're going to probably reach 14,000 to 20,000 people, and trying to find ways that will meet the needs is something that I have to do as their servant, but also present it as their leader. Another strength is my ideals about government have been learned through being a secondary education major with government, U.S. history, and psychology as my foundation. And today I got to use a little bit of it when I substitute taught today for the first time in a history class for about 20 years. And we were going over the president during the 60s plus economics class was determining how our budget was spent. And just having an ideal approach to try to keep it fresh, to try to keep it like it should be instead of what it becomes with corruption. I think those are my strengths.
Well, I currently work in a company as an IT director. And what that role involves is me making sure that, one, we build a coalition with teamwork, making sure that everybody who's involved, because the infrastructure encompasses all parts of the organization. The second part is making sure that we can analyze and understand what impacts the organization. How are the funds being spent? How are the improvements? Making sure that we don't spend money and buy services or buy equipment that gets ahead of what we can actually take care of. Those are the things that I'm required to do on a daily basis, on a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis. And it's one of the things that I'd like to bring to the town as we start looking at managing our infrastructure, making sure that as we start to expand west, making sure that as we start to build up new businesses, add apartment complexes, that we have the fire services, we have the police services, we have that common sense of safety that we all want and want to enjoy and relish, but at the same time that we don't put ourselves at a razor's edge and make sure that we're so thin that we can't provide those services. Those are the types of things that I think I can bring, is making sure that we have a responsible level of growth, that we respond to what it is that's growing in your area, because I don't know that anybody in here doesn't see a part of their town or community not growing. Everybody's got some form of growth around them. So as a result, one of the things that I want to do is bring that strength of being able to not only identify, but to inform you. Make sure that you understand what that direction is, and make sure that that direction includes you and not is in spite of you. Thank you.
I think one of my strengths is something I've already exhibited and mentioned, the fact that I'm able to listen to the concerns of our citizens and act accordingly. I also think in the short 10 months I've been on the council, I've been able to foster a pretty good working relationship with other council members. Curtis, Hal, we are not always on the same side when we vote, but when the meeting is over, we remain friends. I don't hold grudges. I don't try to get back at anybody because something I wanted didn't happen. And I think that's the case with the other people for the most part. So I think I have an ability to work well with the people that are on the council, the people that we interact with the town, and of course, first and foremost, the citizens. Thank you.
I believe some of my core strengths come back from my business experience. I'm a Stanford coming in sales, working with large projects, same as my brother Dave over here with his IT background. We need to make sure that we're planning correctly, looking at what good business judgments are prevailing at that point, be able to move forward with that. As we're making the decisions, we're held accountable to the citizens. We're held accountable to each of the other council members, and that we stick to the core values that our community, that our citizens, are electing us to do. Thank you.
Well, I've been a nurse for 32 years. I was an assistant director of nurses in a 200-bed facility. I've done all kinds of nursing and been in management positions several times. I have always been a fighter for the underdog, and I have always moved heaven and earth to try to get people what they need in life. So what I bring to the town council, if I'm elected, is a desire to make people's lives better here in Little Elm and more prosperous, and our town to grow. So I have management skills, I have the ability to listen and act on the information that I have been given.
What are our strengths? That's the good part about going last, is you get a lot of time to reflect on your answer. I see a pattern. Right after high school, I joined the United States Marine Corps. I got to